Welcome to our channel, Our Philippine Journey. Hey, if you're a subscriber, great. If you're a returning subscriber, even better. And if you find this to be of any interest, please subscribe and hit that thumbs up. We really, really appreciate it. Enough said. All right, let's let's talk about some things here about how the relationship that you are in or will be in is going to have an impact on where you retire. Philippines is, you know, not a small place. There are a lot of options. Before I do that, I have a couple quick disclaimers. Number one, we're in the middle of remodeling and changing some things in my office spare bedroom. So you may hear some noise. Sorry about that. Number two, all this stuff is set up on a folding table, and so I'm kind of working within some very cramped parameters. Number three, most importantly, this is not just about retiring. This will apply to anybody that's coming. Some parts of this will apply to those that are of you that are tourists, visitors, and retirees. But it's important that we get through all of it. All right? I think I've said enough. Oh, well, one last thing. Nothing applies to everyone. There are exceptions to every rule. Get over it. I'm not an authority that knows the exact solution to everything. Okay, let's get started. And one more disclaimer: one of the reasons that I made this is simply because I saw there's been a lot of talk about kind of broaching the subject, but I saw a very disturbing video recently. Um, a commenter, and I got to tell you, I've watched this guy's videos, and I'm not going to mention his name. I watched this guy's videos because I actually believe that his intentions are very well meant. But in this video, he talks about why he's coming to the Philippines, and one of it is because he wants a traditional Filipino relationship. Because Filipino women know where their place is. That he wants a relationship with a woman who's gonna stay in her place. That came across as pretty misogynistic to me. And I don't think he meant it like that. I think what he is really doing is looking for the right relationship, and he's looking for a relationship that is based on some of his values. But I don't think it meant it quite as derogatory as it sounded, because he's quite nice otherwise. So we'll get into that maybe towards the end. But let's go through and figure out all of these things here that make a difference. And I'm using some new software, so we're going to see exactly how this works out. Boom, and boom, and we're going to get rid of that and get it out of your way. Let's see how this works. So, most men coming to the Philippines fall into one of five generic categories. They're either married to a Filipino, engaged to a Filipino, in a long distance relationship with a Filipino, looking to find a traditional Filipino, or they're single, unencumbered, want to stay that way. Just boom, boom, take a number, ladies. Typical man whore. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying that's what they're looking for. Okay, great. That's what it is. It's kind of like what it is. It doesn't matter which one of those categories you fall in. One of, if not the strongest driving force behind each of those categories is going to be economics. That's, should be very, very simple to understand. Your economics are going to drive what you can afford to do. Period. Don't think of it otherwise. And the reason that you don't want to is because you've got to be honest and realistic. While it's human nature to present our best qualities, don't lie about them. Don't embellish them. Don't lie to yourself. And don't lie to the women you're involved with. Whether you're marrying them, bar finding them, dating them, there's no need for it. There's plenty of good women out there that'll appreciate you for who and what you are. So, married to a Filipino. Well, if you're going to live, or at least a general area, where you're going to live should have already been discussed and agreed upon long before you married her. Okay? Long before you decided to retire in the Philippines. Like, you could have married her, you could have met her on a previous trip, married her, eventually moved to the U.S. Now you've decided to move back. Don't do it blindly. You need to talk to her about it. She is important. She needs to understand your economic needs, your location needs. All right? And that has to be acceptable to both of you. With a bit of reasonable foresight, you scouted out and researched places, talked about it, and got it all done. But economics played a big, vital role. Engaged to a Filipino. Buddy, now it's time to get this done. You should have this talk before you even got engaged, but it's still not too late. You got to reach a point where you're both happy and accepting. Again, same thing. This is a two-way relationship. Sometimes I don't agree with my wife. A lot of times my wife doesn't agree with me, just on little things. But the bottom line is that we either come to a happy medium point, where we meet in the middle, or we get into a discussion where we present to each other why we think what we think, and perhaps then one of us changes our minds. But if you want to live in a big city, all right, or near a big city, but in the province, say 50 miles out, okay, from the city, and she wants to live in a big city at the beach, those may not be mutually they may not mutually be the same thing. Okay? And that's limiting. Because you know what? You can't get married to a woman and expect her to stay happy. If she's not happy, you're not going to be happy. All right? But no matter which one of these you do, whether you want to live at the beach, you want to live in the jungle, the province, whatever, you guys got to agree. You can't be opposites of each other, because one of you will be miserable, and that is what's going to actually make the other person miserable. And that's not right. Shouldn't end up that way. Long distance relationships with a Filipino, now is the time to have that discussion. And you need to be brutally honest about that. You need to say, this is the budget we're going to live within. This is what I can afford to live within. This is the standard of living that I want to live in based on my budget. And then do yourself a favor. Make it an adventure. Travel around. Talk about different places. Look at different places. All right? And if you can't get to a happy point, move on. There's no reason to continue that. Okay? There's none at all. And I'll throw one other piece in there. Long distance relationships are defined in multiple ways, but one of the ways that a lot of people think of long distance relationships is like online and stuff like that, where they've actually never met yet. Um, hey, bottom line, you wouldn't buy a car without driving it. Take her for a test ride. Go to the Philippines and spend some time with her. For God's sakes, take some time. You know, they say you never really get to know a person until you live with them. Well, I say you really never get to know a person until you travel with them. Okay? Go around to the Philippines. Take a lot, take a good look around. There's nothing that says things can't change, but you need to know how she feels about intimacy. That's going to be an issue that's going to drive your happiness as well as hers. Looking to find a traditional Filipino, I have no idea how you define traditional. Everybody has a different perspective or outlook. It could be so many different things. I would urge you to consider number one, there's a language barrier. Okay? For all of these girls, because I'm going to say all because very few of you speak fluent Tagalog. English is a second language to them. For many of them, it may be a third language because they may speak Tagalog because it's a national language. They may speak Bisaya because of where they were raised or one of the other 170 dialects of, of the Filipino language. And they speak English. That's three. Okay? Syntax, verbiage, dialogue can be different. All right? It's you gotta have a good when you have this in-depth look and you have this in-depth interview, talking to these girls. It'd be like interviewing a bar girl. How long do you spit or swallow? You get the drift. You don't need to be shy. Ask the questions that matter to you. Don't ask them, can you cook? Ask them, what can they cook? Be specific. I'm not saying base your relationship on whether they can cook, but I'm just saying and using that as an example. All right? When you take her for that test ride, do it just like you were getting in a sports car. Gun it, push every button, and see what happens. That all being said, part of a relationship is the adventure, and there's always room for growth. You just need a good idea as to how much growth it's going to take for them to get to the level that you are used to or want. That's not to say you can't change your level. What I am saying is, and this goes back to everything that we've already gone over, you have to get through the communication issues. You have to be honest with them. All of that is going to impact where you live. No way around it. You're single, you're unencumbered, you want to stay that way. Great. Whatever floats your boat. I don't fault anybody for that. That's what you want. Then be honest. You know what? If you are going to see them and this encounter between you and them lasts beyond the next 48 hours, don't assume that they think the same thing that you think. If you are convinced that you are there to date, then just tell them, look, I'm not looking to fall in love. I don't want to get married. I'm looking to have a great night out, and I'm hoping you will too. Be honest. And quite frankly, the smaller the city you live in, the faster word gets out about whether you're a man whore or not. Personally, I say big deal. I think that just makes it easier. If a girl doesn't like man whores, she's not going to talk to you. But if the word is out and women are talking to you, oh, then they're on your menu, I guess, is the best word. Finally, be confident. If they don't like what they're hearing and seeing, they would have been out the door and on their way in 5 minutes or less. Don't believe a lot of the bullshit that people tell you about how innocent province girls are, or how innocent the girls that work at SM are, or how shy Filipinos are. Sure, there are some like that. Maybe there are a lot like that. But they're not stupid, okay? They're just not. Now, they may not have the full color illustrated copy of the Kama Sutra on their nightstand, but you're going after younger women in most instances, and guess what? They know how to make a smartphone work as well, if not better, than you. And what does that mean? They have the internet and they have Pornhub. They're not stupid, and they know what the game certainly is. And if they're still interested in you, that's great. Horny women need love too. And that's really the basics. So if you keep all of that in mind, now what you've done is you have said, I'm going to be honest, this is my budget, this is how I want to live. And that's what every girl that you meet, that you become quasi-serious with, needs to understand. Second thing is I'm interested in a relationship or I'm not. You owe it to them. Be a responsible person. Don't be a dick. Don't string these women along. You know, I could be some sympathetic little whiny crying guy and say, hey, you know, they've got feelings too. That's beside the point, although it's true. What the point is that you don't need to string them along. And you need to be cognizant of the language barrier, and you need to understand that you need to explain things to them the same thing more than one way. So, look, gave you my unabashed welcome to the Philippines. We'd figure out where you're going to retire talk. With that being said, be responsible. And finally, please subscribe, comment, tell me what you think. Tell me what your experiences have been. We want to know. Arlene is in there working on the office and getting some stuff done, and I got to go check in on her, see what I need to do. I can't be a lazy pig every day, all day. Have a great day, and we hope to see you soon. Thanks. Bye.